Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. This is another installment of Port St. Lucie Utility Systems Lunch and Learn. Today's topic is understanding your wastewater collection system. Yes, collection system. I always want to say distribution, but we don't want to distribute the wastewater. We want to collect the wastewater. So we're going to be talking about the sewer system, and we're going to be talking about the wastewater treatment processes. I have a panel of experts, industry experts with me today that are going to talk about each aspect of those sewer systems. But first, I want to thank our sponsor today, South State Bank, and Wayne is going to talk a little bit about their services. We couldn't have this event without the support of South State Bank, so we're going to let Wayne talk a little bit about their services.
Hello. Thank you all for coming out. I met most of you at the front. I see some familiar faces from last time that we were out. I am with South State Bank, as you mentioned, so we are a local community bank. We are off of Lingate and US 1, and we've got about 330 branches across Florida, Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina. So just want to thank everybody, and everybody banks somewhere. So if you have any needs, please take one of my cards. Feel free to reach out to me. My direct line is on that card. So enjoy.
All right, so let's introduce our panelists today. So I may not have mentioned it, but my name is Jenny Tomes. I am overseeing education and outreach for Port St. Lucie Utility Systems. And with me today, we'll start on this direction. So we have Joe Hood. He is the supervisor of wastewater collections. Next to him is Eric Perez, lift station's crew leader. And there at the end, we have John Lamb. He's the chief operator of our Glades wastewater treatment process. So before we get started, I just want to firstly ask, do you know what wastewater is? Anybody? Yeah? Okay, I see some heads nodding. So what is wastewater? Anybody know? Any water that comes out of your where? Your house? Any water that leaves your house. We agree? I tend to think of wastewater as just everything that leaves the bathroom. But think about the other places in our homes where we use water. The kitchen. Right? So any water that goes down that kitchen sink, any water that leaves your dishwasher, and then in the laundry room as well, we've got a washing machine, right? So that water is used, that water leaves your home and it enters the sewer system. So that's where we start our journey today, right? Metaphorically though, not literally. So we're gonna start our journey with Joe Hood here, who is gonna talk about the different types of sewer systems within the city of Port St. Lucie.
Hi guys, how you doing? So the three different types of systems we have here in Port St. Lucie, we have septic systems. Is everybody familiar with what like a septic system is? It's kind of it's not technically a municipal wastewater system, but it's an on-site disposal system. We have a grinder system, which is what we have on display over here. We're trying to refer to that now as like just a sewer system, or it could be a low pressure system. You may hear it referred to as that. And we also have a gravity system. They all do the same thing in their own different ways. The grinder systems are predominantly, I guess it would be west of US 1. East of US 1, you're going to have it's still going to be a low pressure system, but it's going to be more of a step system, they call it. It's almost like a hybrid of a septic tank and a municipal sewer system. It doesn't necessarily take care of doesn't grind anything up. It's just taking care of the effluent, pumps the effluent of the tank off. Gravity system doesn't have any moving parts really. It's just, I guess, you know the old saying where crap rolls downhill, right? So that's kind of what it does. Everything just rolls downhill. But the grinder system, it has electric. There's a couple of different components to it. So.
All right, so who in the audience, so does anyone have a septic system? Okay. All right, so in the city of Port St. Lucie, there are still about 14,000 septic systems, and I find that that people who have septic systems take very, very good care of them, right? You want to protect them. You want them to continue to work. You get them maintained every couple years. Because if your septic system should fail and the infrastructure is available, then you have to hook up to city sewer. Again, if the infrastructure is available, your septic system fails, you have to hook up to city sewer. And that's not a Jenny rule, that's a Department of Health rule, okay? So if it does fail, obviously now you're a customer of ours and now you have a wastewater bill from us. But like I said, there's still about 14,000. It's not mandatory that you hook up. But if you would like to hook up, we have a conversion program. The cost is spread out over 10 years. It's interest-free. So it makes it a little easier, so you don't have to put out, the cost is right around $6,000 to convert from a septic system to city sewer. And again, there's still about 14,000 left in the city of Port St. Lucie. So then the other, like Joe was saying, the other system in the city is that low pressure sewer system, right? So it's called a grinder system, and we were calling it that because that's the name of the pump. But it's sort of misleading because you think it's like a food processor, like a garbage disposal. That's not really what it's used for. It's used to break down the solids that enters it and then pump it out. So it's not, it's nothing, we're not going to put, bones in it. We're not going to put, diapers and things like that in it. It will absolutely clog. So I'll have Joe go up and sort of walk through the sewer system here. But does anybody have a green lid in their yard? Okay, green lid. All right, so this is what's beneath the green lid. So we want to walk through that and each kind of part of it, and Joe's going to help you better understand how it actually functions. I've booby-trapped you, sorry.
So you guys have all seen the green lid on top. So inside here we have, I'll go over it real quick. We have a pump. We have float switches here. This pipe back here, I don't know if everybody can see that or not. That is what we call the sewer lateral. This is a discharge pipe. So where it all starts at, obviously, is in the house when you guys put something down the drain, down the toilet, what have you. It goes down through underneath your slab of the house and out what we call the lateral, which some people refer to it as their main drain coming from the house. A common term you probably all want to be familiar with is a clean out. We don't have one on display here, but you've probably all seen little 3 or 4 inch pipe somewhere out by your flower bed, out by the house. It could be out in front. Most of the times they're out front. It could be out back or on the side with a little square. Sometimes they have a little square piece of just square plastic sticking up out of it. It's white. If you guys ever call in or you guys ever have issues and you hear somebody say, check your clean out, that's what we're referring to. That's called the clean out. That's an access point for yourself, plumbers, for anybody that wants to service the system to be able to get in and clear this line. So you heard me say earlier about a gravity system. Comes out of the house gravity into the tank through this lateral, starts filling up the tank. A lot of people that I talk to throughout my travels throughout the day, they think that every time they turn the water spigot on or the water faucet on in the house or flush the toilet, that the pump starts running. Doesn't work that way. Starts filling up. It fills up to a point. So we have an off float, we have an on float, we have an alarm float. So the water will fill up to the alarm float. These actually float. They tip up like this. So the off float's going to tip. The on float's going to tip. As soon as this tips up, it turns the pump on. It starts pumping down. It relaxes. When this one relaxes, turns the pump off. It's ready for round 2. Start using water again. It's going to come on. So typically, these only run a couple times a day. And obviously, if you're doing laundry and dishes, if it's a heavy laundry day, they're going to run a little more. But when the pump starts pumping it, pumps it out here, out to the discharge, goes out through the front yard, out to the sewer main, down the road it goes to one of the lift stations. This is the control panel. You probably have seen these. They're on the side of the house. This is kind of the brains. This is kind of the brawn of everything. So inside here is all the controls to control the pump and floats. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So yeah, it's not just a holding tank. There's a lot of I don't want to say it's a lot of stuff that goes on in here, but there is quite a bit of stuff that happens in here. Question was, is this for each house or for a series of houses? So these are residents. Each house has one of these. So, and that's a good question. Some of the residents I've spoke with, they think that this is in their front yard and maybe their neighbors is tied into it. No, each house has their own. Which community are you referring to? Verona. Okay, you're on gravity sewer out there. You won't have one of these. You're on a gravity sewer out there, so everybody just has a sewer lateral on the gravity system. You have a sewer lateral that comes, so you heard me refer to a clean out and a lateral right here. Take the tank out of the equation, the lateral goes straight to the sewer main. It's a different type of sewer main. It's not a pressurized system. It's all gravity, so it flows out to the main is pitched, and it rolls down the road to the lift station. Yes, sir, but not on the premises of the house. Yes, ma'am. So the question is does it operate like a sump pump? It's almost identical to a sump pump. It's just not groundwater. It's groundwater we want to keep out of the sewage system. Sewage system isn't designed, engineered to take on that kind of on stormwater. So yes, so it does. It fills up, and once it hits a point, it turns a switch on. Yep. So and whenever you guys hear this top float, I didn't touch on it. You guys are probably the people that do have one of these systems have probably heard either one of your neighbors or your own, the alarm go off or the light starts blinking and the alarm starts. It's a real annoying sound. That's when the water level gets up to this float here. And it tips this float up and the alarm starts going off. It's pretty much saying, it's telling you to get somebody out here and service me, that bad things are going to start happening. Mm-hmm. So the question is, what are they doing when they come out when she has backups at her house? That's kind of that's a hard question to answer because there's a few. I don't want to say a few. There's a bunch of different things that could happen. One of the most common things that we see is people that flush the wipes or grease. A lot of the stuff that shouldn't be in the system. These pumps will get jammed, and a lot of the service calls are for that. I don't want to say all of them, but a majority of our service calls are from jam pumps. So what happens is these wipes will get in there. I'm just going to use the wipes for an example. Can get in the impeller underneath and jam the pump. So the pump jams. It's trying to the electricity is trying to turn that motor over, and it can't. So it kicks a breaker inside here. Okay, next thing you know, you're starting to back up in the house, you're calling us. We come out, we pull it, we find a jam in it. Get it unjammed. I'm not saying that that's what they did at your house. Without my computer here, I could look your address up and tell you what they did, but right now I can't. But it's hard to say. Sometimes these float switches go bad. The grease gets in the tank and accumulates to these floats. It sticks to the floats, and it'll cause them to malfunction and not work properly. The grease and rags could be inside here before it even gets into the tank. May not be an issue with the grinder, maybe an issue with the clog in the lateral. That's really common too. So grease. A lot of times in the industry, she's asking about what is grease? Fog, fats, oils, and greases. So it could be from waste that we're putting down the disposal. It could be from just cooking, anything that goes down the kitchen sink, anything that goes down any of the sinks, toilets, ever how it gets in the system, it can get in there many different ways, but that's what we're referring to mainly, is the correct. What we recommend is clean your plates off in the garbage. Any food scraps, any food particles, put them in the garbage. I know a lot of people like to use the garbage disposals because it's easier just to go to the sink, clean everything off in the sink, hit the little button, and down the little magic hole it goes. Well, it's very convenient, but an analogy I like to use whenever I'm talking to people is doctors tell us cholesterol are bad for our bodies, right? What's it do? Clogs our arteries, right? Well, cholesterol comes from grease, right? Think of your arteries as your pipes. Just like this lateral right here that comes out of the house. That's the main artery that comes out of your house. Cholesterol, being grease, can start clogging it up. Yep, here's a prime example. This is an example. This actually isn't grease. This looks like spray foam, but it's really close to what it would look like whenever it clogs up a line. So yeah, it's not only beneficial to not put grease down the drain for our system, but also your system, because this lateral back into the house, that's all your responsibility. That all belongs to you. When it gets into here, it belongs to us, but it can start clogging the pipes up underneath your house, not to mention inside here. So we understand that some food and grease particles are going to get in there, but try to minimize it. Just helps everything out. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're asking about Rid-X, if Rid-X is good. For this type of system, if you're on a grinder, no, it really isn't helping anything. It may help out keeping your lateral and the tank clean, but not really. I mean, it could help, but it's not really going to be very beneficial. So in Alaska, if he was putting Rid-X in there, more than likely you run a septic system. What Rid-X is it's just it's just bacteria that gets in there to help. It's a big science project that goes on inside a septic tank. So, yeah. Yes, sir. So when the alarm goes off, who do we call? Yes, call the city immediately. 873-6400. Every box typically has a sticker on it. And for some reason you have one of these at your house and there's no sticker on it, call this number. We'll come out and put one on for you. So that's the emergency number. This is the number for water and sewer. I call it the water and sewer hotline. So if call that number 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. Christmas, Thanksgiving, doesn't matter. We're here working. No, you take care of that in your water and sewer bill every month. So we do not charge for service calls. And I'm glad you brought that up. We try to tell people, if the alarm's going off, obviously call us immediately. But a lot of times, if you're having an issue where you're starting to back up, toilets aren't going down, sinks are backing up, a lot of people think automatically to call a plumber or call a professional out because they say, the alarm's not going off, but I'm backing up. Call us anyways. Have us come out. Let us there could be an issue in here that might have tripped a breaker, the electrical breaker inside here, and caused, you won't get an alarm then. So let us come out, check it out, and we'll point you in the right direction. If it's an issue on our end, or if it's an issue we can help you with, we'll take care of it. If not, we'll point you in the right direction as far as who to call. Tell them to stop flushing the bad stuff. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. If you ever hear that alarm going off, yes, that is beneficial. I don't want to say it's yours, but the bill you pay does help maintain that. So, Not necessarily. I wouldn't say the smell is before.
The smell is typically not an indication of a problem. It's all the wastewater is being held until it's time for it to pump out. So regardless, you're going to have some sort. We try to do our best to keep the smell down.
There's one by Lingate Park, too.
Yes, there is.
We go to baseball games, it's like, woo.
There's one in front of the park, there's one across the street from the park, and then there's one over by you. Yeah.
You know, so everybody on the bleachers looking like, did you do that?
Yeah. Yeah. I know it's that neighborhood.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any more questions on the grinder or on the sewer end of it? The service side, I should say. No? Yes, ma'am. So the alarm's going off. We're right. So what we say. So what do I do when the alarm goes off? So when the alarm starts to go off, obviously the first thing, when you call this number and you let them know, when you let the customer service rep know that you have an alarm going off, first thing they're going to tell you to do is conserve water. So to help you guys all out, since you're here, if you ever hear that going off, conserve water. Stop using water at that time. Obviously, because it's telling you there's something wrong. If the alarm's going off, more than likely the level's high. Now, can these floats fall off of here and fall into the bottom of the tank? And really the level is not that high? Sure it can. There's a bunch of different things that could happen before we get out there. But if you hear the alarm, err on the side of caution, call us, let us come out, stop using water for a minute. But typically we're out within an hour or two. So sometimes sooner than that, most of the time sooner than that. But depending on how many calls we have that day and staffing. So, anybody else? Okay, thanks guys.
Again, like Joe said, so don't flush the bad stuff, right? So, he mentioned wipes. I just really quickly wanted to show you a demonstration. I do this with kids and they love it, so I figured grown-ups would love it too. So I am just gonna play Vanna White up here and flush, right? We're gonna simulate a flush. So we're gonna flush a couple squares of toilet paper, and this is the good stuff. Like this is the stuff with the bears, right? This is like the double ply, like quilted. All right, so it's already falling apart. That's exactly what it's supposed to do. Even the really good, expensive toilet paper, it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. A couple turns of the whisk, and it's already falling apart, okay? So let's do a wipe. Sorry, it's hard to do this with one hand. I don't know how Vanna does it. All right, so let's whisk that up. We're gonna flush our wipe. Oh, and this is a flushable wipe, you guys. This one says flushable on the package, okay? All right. I'm still flushing, by the way. This is a double flusher because it's, okay, ready? Crowd participation. I need magic words. What are the magic words? I'll show you a magic trick. Ready? What are the magic words? Abracadabra, thank you. I could use this again, right? This isn't going anywhere, but it's flushable. Sure it is. So's a $20 bill. So's my wedding ring, right? Anything, what did you call it, a magic hole? Anything that'll fit down there technically is flushable, but the question we need to ask is, will it break down? Will it biodegrade? No. No, it will not. So don't flush these, even if they say flushable, even if the commercial's super cute and they're super convenient and whatever. So whether it's the cleaning wipes or like the makeup removal wipes, the baby wipes, don't flush them. You don't have to stop using them. You can use them. My daughter is 10 years old and I have trained her that when she uses them, she just throws them in the trash right next to the toilet. It's perfect. It works perfectly for us, right? We haven't had any problems. So whether you have a septic system, whether you have one of these sewer systems, or whether you're on a gravity system, these will cause problems no matter where you are. If you're here at the community center and you have to use the bathroom and you travel with wipes somehow, don't flush them, because this will cause a problem. Whether it's 1 or 10, they will cause a problem. They're like magnetized. They all find each other and they clump together. I have an amazing photo to show you. Oh, there's our flush test. There we go. Poor Frank. Poor Frank. So this picture was taken at the height of COVID. Remember when we couldn't buy toilet paper? I was warned and they said, Jenny, please try to get in front of this, because if people can't buy toilet paper, what are they going to buy? Because we were desperate, right? this was a mess during COVID because there was so many of these going down the system. So we have to not flush these. Yes, ma'am. You're asking about Kleenex and paper towels. So Kleenex, I think, will break down just like toilet paper, right? I would not recommend paper towels. I would not recommend, and again, I know we're all grown-ups, but it's easy to remember, and this is what I tell the kids, only flush the 3 Ps. Pee, poop, and paper. Toilet paper, not paper towels, not wax paper, not construction paper, none of this stuff, okay? Just pee, poop, and paper. You guys are all done eating, right? Okay, we're good. Okay. Yeah, so that's all we're going to flush. So like I said, I talk to kids quite a bit. So this is my man here. This is Francis Fogberg. And Joe told you what FOG stands for in our world. So that's fats, oil, and grease. So this is a tool, my little friend here, my little villain, that I use to teach kids about what not to flush. So he is made up of fats, oil, and grease, but he's collected a lot of other things. He has wipes and underpants and socks and feminine hygiene products. Those do not break down either. Those are the other. I would say that's number 2. Right? Okay, so we've got wipes are number 1, feminine hygiene products a very close number 2. Please don't flush those either. They will not break down. Kids like to make things disappear. They flush their toys. There's, you know, Francis is filled with cotton balls and Q-tips and cat litter and all these things. Only the 3 Ps, no matter what you have, what kind of sewer system you have. So you don't want a Francis at your house. He's cute and all, but you don't want him at your house. So I want to go back to one photo quickly. Oops. Go back. So this is one thing. So that's what a conversion looks like. I mentioned that we have that conversion program if you are on septic and you're interested in converting. So we have our lovely crew that comes out that breaks down the septic, right? That
We abandon the septic tank. Typically, it's just crush it in place, and then dig another hole and put in the green tank like you see there on the slide, which is that there. So.
And then that photo next to it is root intrusion, because if there is, I just like to show this photo. This is from several years ago now, but you can see that big root ball because, right, you've got all these good nutrients inside this tank. So it was just a tiny little crack and this root entered and really flourished in there, but it did cause a problem. So things, I mean, this is very rare, but I like to show this photo because I think it's interesting. It's just not something we see every day. So, all right, so let's move on. So I had also asked the question, as you all came in, how many miles of sewer pipe do you think we have here in Port St. Lucie? It's tough to imagine because it's underground. You know, you don't see it unless something is broken, unless something is spewing up out of the ground. You kind of, you know, it's underground, so it's sort of out of sight, out of mind. So when you flush something, it goes away. Well, it goes away into the sewer system. So anybody want to take a guess how many miles of sewer system or sewer pipe you think we have in the ground in Port St. Lucie? What's your guess? You said B, C, B, C and B, we're all over. Okay, so it's definitely not A, right? So we are a humongous city. So this number keeps growing. The actual number is C, or the answer is C. So 1,148 miles of sewer main. So once it leaves your house, we started to talk about this. Where does it go? So it enters the sewer system. Now what? You've got 1,100 miles for this waste to travel through. How do we keep it moving? And that's where Eric Perez comes in. So he's going to talk about the lift station part of things.
Good morning, everybody. Hi. So, technically, our lift stations are the middlemen between your house, Joe, and the plant. I'm going to use this as an example because this is probably the best thing that we have. What a lift station is a really big glorified version of what we have here. Typically, inside of a lift station, we have 2 pumps. We have the floats as well, a really large control panel, as you can see on this slide in the back. You might see them throughout town. We try to cover them with trees and have them blend in with the neighborhoods as possible. As far as odor control goes, those trees tend to help with the odor, not always. We do have odor control devices at certain ones that we know create a strong smell. Typically it helps, but depending on the wind, it can give or take. And our pumps are a lot much more larger than the ones that we have residentially. We pump a lot of water, depending on the neighborhood. And typically, your neighborhood will either be under a low pressure system, which is this, or a gravity system, which is what you guys have in your neighborhood out there. and it goes to that lift station. And once it fills up just like the residential, where it would fill to a certain point, and then the pumps would kick on and pump it further down the line, either to another lift station or directly to the plant. And the mulch bed right there that we have, which I'm sure you've seen along New York, we have several of those on there. That is an odor control device, believe it or not. It looks pretty, and to a point. Sprinklers kick on and keep the mulch wet, and that actually helps absorb some of the odor coming out of the lift station. And this is getting ready to do a confined space. Now, some of these lift stations can get to be, I believe our deepest one is 33 feet, 34 feet. We typically have that out in Tradition area. And so what that would basically be is what we're standing right here in the top is what would be a little bit taller than this ceiling, and then our pumps are down here on the ground. So we have to make an entry, whether there's a pipe broken down in there, or the base where the pump sits is loose, or any other devices falling down on the bottom that we need to retrieve. And we typically make the entry. We pump oxygen and air into the station, clear all the gases out of it, and get lowered down. Yeah, that's me. I remember that station. That is in Tradition. So this one, the pipe coming out that would give it to the main itself actually broke. So we had to go in there and make a repair on that pipe. Yeah, that was a good day. Oh, I remember. That was not a fun time. That one is about 30 feet deep. Yeah, that's pretty deep. It can be, yeah. It humbles you pretty quickly when you look up and everybody's up there and you're down on the bottom. Yeah. But we make it as safe as possible, that's for sure. Oh, sure, absolutely. So I don't know how well you can see in the photo. Well, from where I'm standing at, what we do is we strap up to a harness and it has a retrieval system on it. So we also send down an air quality meter to make sure that it's breathable, because the sewer gases can be lethal. And that yellow hose will actually push fresh air into it to clear out the air. And God forbid something happens, that retrieval system, the person up top can crank whoever's down in there out for a rescue if possible. To actually do an entry, it all depends on what needs to be done in there, but typically they're about 2 hours. But every 15 minutes we come up for fresh air. So, yes. Yes, we usually yell at each other a lot. No, believe it or not, actually when you're down in there, it's pretty bright. And if it's not, we have headlamps. Okay, so some of them I won't go near. It's got roaches, and I have a roach phobia, so I kind of delegate somebody else to do it. We do rock, paper, scissors. But yeah, some of them have, we've seen rats, lizards, bugs, snakes. I haven't seen a gator yet. That's one that I haven't seen. Yeah, yeah. Is there any questions on lift stations? Hit me. Yes, when this leaves here, it pumps to the lift station. And same with the gravity system in your neighborhood, sir. It goes right to the lift station, and it could pump to another lift station and pump to another lift station until it gets further down the line to where it gets sent to the treatment facility. I don't know if I could answer that correctly. I mean, I have an opinion on it. I believe a gravity system it's been around since Roman times, so why change something that works? But in low elevation states like what we are, it is more efficient to have a grinder system and more easier on the pocket. It pumps it out, it's under pressure, so you don't have to have that deep pitch of a pipe. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. No worries. No, what it is basically like a giant grinder system.
It all pumps into, so let's just say this is the lift station itself. It would come into the lift station from the main. Correct, yes. It does have a holding capacity, so it would get to a certain level and the pumps would kick on and then pump it out to the next one. Is it only in Florida where they have grinder systems?
Low pressure systems are all over the world. A lot of times they're used for different purposes. It just so happens that I think the city of Port St. Lucie, I believe, we're the nation's largest low pressure system in the United States. But no, they're all over the place. There's local municipalities around here that have them, just not on the scale that we have them. You know, Bahamas has them. The Keys have them. The Keys down in Key, I can't remember which key it is. They're actually under a big project right now where they're installing a bunch of them to get rid of the septic. To get rid of the septic systems. Eventually, the septic systems start causing harm to the environment. So they're trying to mitigate those same way as we are here. You know, when septics go bad, it starts hurting the environment. So, but no, they're all over the place.
And just to very, very quick history lesson. So somebody mentioned GDC. So back in the 60s when GDC, General Development Corporation, developed the city of Port St. Lucie, they did not put the infrastructure in place first. They sold lots, you know, these quarter-acre lots for $10 down, $10 a month. You know, they went all over the country to try to get people to move down here and buy, you know, this little slice of Port St. Lucie paradise. So, you know, if you build it, they will come, right? So people were buying. So they would, you know, they would build a house, hook it up to a well, hook it up to a septic system. Only in a few areas of town did they actually put the infrastructure in first. So when the city of Port St. Lucie acquired the utility in 1994, that council at that time was very clear that we needed to do something to move this infrastructure forward. So there were as many as 4 septic systems on 1 acre of property. So again, gravity is very expensive and it's very disruptive because my picture's way back there, but you know, if this is a street, right? So you've got houses on both sides. Gravity, because it works on an angle, you have to dig up yards and sidewalks and driveways and roads to get the pitch just right. So all of the homes are, you know, the wastewater's exiting the home on an angle and then meeting in the middle of the street and then going further down into the sewer system. It's very disruptive, and again, the city at the time, the city council at the time, looked for other options, and this was a much better option. It was less disruptive, and it was, like you said, much easier on the pocketbook. It wasn't as expensive as trying to go in and sort of undo. So new sections of town, west of town, you're going to be on a gravity system, whereas sort of in the middle of town, this is your option. So it's not like you get to choose, you know, one or the other. You kind of, the infrastructure is in place for this, you're going to get one of these if you build on one of these new lots. That's, or an open lot here in Port St. Lucie, if that makes sense. Yeah? Okay. Does anybody have any other questions? I hope you have a real appreciation for what Eric does to get down, I mean, 30 feet. I don't know about you guys. I'm not okay with heights. I'm not okay with being that deep in the ground either. To go down 30 feet, I'm trembling even thinking about it. Like, I really hope you all have a really good appreciation for what, and I'm not even going to say we, because that's not me. It's these gentlemen here that really, I mean, we have an amazing staff who actually really love this. It takes a very special person to work in utility systems and to do this kind of work. So it was very important to me to have, I wanted to show you those photos, and they don't even do it justice. But, you know, now that you know what a lift station looks like, every time you go by, you're going to be like, I see you, lift station. You're going to see them all over. We have over 300 of them in the city. So all of those lift stations literally lift, right? So, you know, all the waste dumps down into it, and it lifts it up, pushes it down to the next one, and then it goes to the next, and it goes to the next. But it has to end somewhere, and it's with this guy, John Lamb. So we have 2 wastewater treatment plants in the city of Port St. Lucie. One is called Westport, that is over off of Darwin, which is near Treasure Coast High School. And then the other one is on Glades Cutoff Road, and that, John is the chief operator of that facility. So I would love for him to talk about now the process his plant has to go through to treat the wastewater.
Good afternoon. My name is John Lamb. I'm in charge of the Glades Wastewater Treatment Facility of the two that Jenny talked about. Together, both of the plants treat roughly 11 million gallons of wastewater every day. It's a lot of water. And like they had talked about in their parts of the presentation, anything that makes it into the pipe will make it into the plant. It doesn't matter, we don't get a choice, but once it gets there, it's our job to put it where it needs to be in the safest, most efficient way possible. The way a wastewater treatment facility works is much like the human body. As we are the most efficient creature on the planet, well, we want to make the wastewater plant the most efficient creature in the system. So, just like the human body, the first thing you got to do with your food is unwrap it. Now, when it comes to wastewater, though, it just comes in however it gets wrapped in the system. So think of your value meal from the fast food. Well, take that value meal and just throw it in the dirt. And that's how it comes to the plant. It's going to be covered in dirt. It's going to be still in the wrapper, but it comes through the pipe nonetheless. And so when it gets to the plant, it comes to the headworks, just like your body. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to unwrap it. We're going to take all the garbage out. Francis there, it's our job to dismantle Francis and take him into his constituent parts and take all the garbage out. And that's going to get removed from the wastewater because it's not organic. We can only really treat the organic things. So that's all going to go to the landfill. The sand is going to get removed separately. So we have systems that, like our grit system, what it does is it adds a little bit of air, it spins it, and the sand will settle to the bottom so that only the wastewater and the floatable organics will continue on to the rest of the plant. So we've made it through the bar screen, we've unwrapped it, we've taken it through the grit, we've gotten rid of the dirt and the sand, the things that we can't eat. And then from there, in the headworks, we take a few samples. We want to check for the water quality so that we can make sure that nobody's dumped anything into the system. Now we don't have a lot of large industries here in Port St. Lucie that would dump that sort of thing, but we do have a few. And so whether it's cleaning chemicals or acid from different chemical facilities, we need to check to make sure ahead of time as it's coming in, do we need to make an adjustment for that? So we'll test the water quality there at the headworks. So from there, it's going to move into what we call the Anoxic Basin and the activated sludge process there on the slide. And what we're doing is now we're taking all the microorganisms that made it into the wastewater. Now those microorganisms are the same microorganisms that are in you. So just like when your belly gets upset, well, we can get our belly upset, but it's a really big belly. Each of our process tanks, each of those main tanks from the picture there, they can hold 1 million gallons apiece. So it adds up quickly. And so what we're doing is we're taking those microorganisms and we're making them happy. We're making sure they have food. We're making sure they have oxygen. We're making sure that their life cycle is a happy, healthy life cycle. And just like with the human body, if they eat too much, they get sick. If they don't eat enough, they get sick. And so what we're doing constantly is adjusting the biological process and the solids levels in the plant to make sure that everything is happy and healthy. So just like on Thanksgiving, when everybody's eating, well, we're going to get more at the plant because it's got to go someplace. And it's our job to make sure that the biological system at the plant is able to handle, big days like that on holidays. Here in Port St. Lucie, we have a lot of snowbirds. We also have to adjust the system for that. Like when they go back north, well, we're going to have less microorganisms coming to the plant, so we'll make an adjustment there. It's a constant adjustment. because everything has to be balanced. So in the aerator basin, where we're adding the oxygen, we're also mixing the microorganisms because we need to make sure that they're able to reach the food, which is the poop, the pee, and anything else that's organic, whether it's food waste from your kitchen, the dishwasher, all of that. We mix it, we make sure there's oxygen, and the microorganisms will digest all of that. And so we keep them happy, and they do all the work for us. Everything's very natural. We're not adding chemicals. We're not adding any kind of extra process. All we're doing is doing what Mother Nature already does in like you would find in a mountain stream or something. Like when you see a mountain stream on National Geographic where it's going over the rocks, and you got the rapids. Well, what that does is the same thing we're doing. That's where you get the oxygen added into the water. And then the bacteria that's in the water is treating the water, and that's what makes it look so crystal clear. So we're doing the same thing on an industrial scale. So from the aerator, we move to the clarifiers. And what they're doing in the clarifiers is that's where the water separates. So just like when you're healthy, everything works well, you got the clear, you got the solids. Well, in the clarifier, as long as we keep the biological process balanced, all those solids are going to sink to the bottom of the tank. And we're going to pump those out. And all the clear, clean water, all naturally cleaned, is going to go over the top of the tank, over through the weirs, and move on through the process. And then the solids on the bottom are going to go back to the plant to continue their life cycle all over again. So we continually just keep that biologic process happy. And, it continues to do the work all year round and all natural. So from the clarifiers, we take that clean water. That's a lot different than when it looks like going into the toilet there, as you can tell. And then the solids will go to the dewatering building. And what we do in the dewatering building is, well, even though it looks thick, it's really only about 1% solid. And so we still need to separate that 99% water so that we're not paying to have that hauled away. We only want to haul away the most energy efficient, cost efficient, because that's our bills. I pay the same bill, and I want to save money too. And, I want only the bare amount of solids to have to be hauled away. And what we do is we have a machine called a centrifuge, which spins it. Like whenever you have a bucket of water, like Mr. Wizard, and you're swinging it around and the water stays in the bucket. Well, we're using that same gravity process to separate out that last 1% of solids. And from there, we put it into trailers and we haul it away to a compost facility so that we can continue the all-natural process that nature normally does, and where it gets mixed in and turned into compost for farms and whatever other process that, some municipalities can even make their own fertilizer, but that's usually a much smaller scale, and we don't operate on a very small scale anymore. And so then the 99% of that water goes back to the headworks where it can be retreated. And so the clear water will move on to what we call sand filters. And a sand filter is a system that, because no matter how well we do the biological process, some things just don't float or don't sink as well as they should. And so as we run it through these filters, it's going to catch anything that might be left over. And then as it goes through those sand filters, now it's really, really clean. But it's not all the way clean. And so from the sand filters, it's going to go to the chlorine contact chamber. And in the chlorine contact chamber is where we add bleach, in effect. It's chlorine. And that chlorine, if given the proper amount of time, which we make sure that it always has the proper amount of time, the chlorine will disinfect anything that's left. Just like when you're cleaning your kitchen counters with the Clorox spray, You know, if you run it through the chlorine contact chamber and you add the chlorine, it gives it time to break down any microorganism that might be left over in the water after the rest of the process. And once you've broken down that microorganism, it too will just settle out to the bottom or get caught in the filters. And there you can see how clean the water looks once we've added the chlorine to it. And from there, it's disinfected, it's clean, you know, there's just an extreme minimal amount of anything that could possibly be left. And from there, we make it into reclaimed water. So when you see like the reclaimed water facility, well, what they're doing is our same process, and that reclaimed water is what gets sent out to sprinklers and golf courses, because it's good, but you wouldn't necessarily want to fill your swimming pool with it. You know, but it's still clean and natural and completely organic. You know, there's no harmful chemicals that we're putting in, nothing beyond what is the bare minimum. And so that clean water is off to the golf courses and sprinklers, and that's the end of the process. We do sell the reclaimed water to the customers, just like we would sell the drinking water to customers. But the solids from the process, because that is such a labor-intensive thing, it's more of a shared cost. There's different compost facilities throughout the state. Like our particular compost facilities are in like the middle of the state. And so once it's hauled away, we save on our costs by sharing with them the burden of disposing of it. Now they're able to eventually make a profit, but you know, that's just, someone has to be available. Yeah, if they didn't make any profit, they wouldn't bother taking our solids in the first place. So the question is, how does the reclaimed water get to where it's going? Right. Well, we have the same basic system as like a drinking water distribution system, but it's completely separate. Like when you see the purple pipes around town, like certain places you'll see those purple pipe, you know, come up out of the ground. And a purple pipe is what they use for reclaimed water. And so it's a high pressure pump. You know, we don't have nearly the 1,148 miles of collection system, but we have quite a few miles of distribution for the reclaimed water that goes out to the different golf courses and things like that. For the Westport facility, the question is, do we have enough customers to take all of our reclaimed water? The Westport facility has enough customers to take all of their reclaimed water. The Glades plant, because it was built right before the bubble burst, we don't have, we've reserved our capacity for the reclaimed water, but a lot of those developments weren't created at that time. You know, the developers decided they weren't going to build anything yet, but now they're back. You know, you see all the developments out there in Tradition and things like that. And so as soon as those developments are completed, then we will also have a place for all of our water to be sent out to and recycled, as it were. No. They just because none of the homes that are built would have a dedicated system that you would want to, pay for 2 sets of pipes that wouldn't interconnect. You know, it's generally less efficient that way, and we don't want to have any kind of like once a homeowner builds a home and it passes inspection, well, we wouldn't want to run the risk of someone coming through after the fact and rerouting their own pipes inside the house without us knowing, because it would be a health hazard. So you'll never see a reclaim line that goes into a house. In the future, what they would do, there's different technologies, like out in the desert, things like that, where you don't necessarily have a well that you can pull from. They might have a different system where the reclaimed water would be sent to the drinking water facility to be retreated, just like groundwater would be treated. But we don't have those systems in place anywhere nearby. But in the future, it is something that they look to do all throughout the nation. For any water that doesn't get sent off to a customer is sent down what we call a deep injection well. And so it's usually anywhere from 3,400 to 5,000 feet below ground. That water would get injected, where it's far below any kind of geographic feature where it would ever get back to the drinking water. And by the time nature let it get that far, through the rock and the different geology features, any kind of microorganism that might be left at that point is going to be long gone. And to go back to like the grease and the wipes, well, if it makes it through the lift station and it makes it through because sometimes things don't make it through the headworks. Well, that stuff is still going to be a problem in the treatment process itself, especially grease, because it's really hard to catch grease in the headworks. And so the only way to remove it is to make those bugs do things that it's not their natural process. And so a lot of grease can also affect the treatment facility and make it harder for us to do our job. So we also appreciate less grease in the system. Yes, ma'am? Right. Yeah, those the question is about like cleaning chemicals throughout the house and all the different things that aren't necessarily natural bodily processes or food waste or things like that. What happens to that when it gets to the facility? Those amounts of chemicals don't harm our process because they're just such a small percentage. That's why whenever I was speaking about the headworks and our water quality testing as it comes in, we are only looking for like large scale, like someone has a tanker truck full of chemicals, or their facility, they decided to clean something, some big industrial process. That kind of level of cleaning, that's when we have a problem. Because things like that, if it were to go unnoticed, well, we would find out very quickly because it would kill all of our bugs. And you can find all sorts of instances throughout history where someone dumped something and it kills our process, and it'll take us anywhere from 3 days to 2 weeks to get our system back into the proper biological system to treat the wastewater effectively. And it does happen. We've gotten better at it, and a bigger treatment facility is much better able to absorb that sort of thing. Yes, ma'am? Oh, that's fine. Right. No. Yeah, the question is, what do we do during hurricanes? And during hurricanes, I'm there at the plant with the other operators, and when the wind dies down, we go outside. If there's anything that's loose, we'll put it inside, put it into storage. But our facility is built to the point where the winds and things like that, they're not a problem. It's only a matter of if there were a tornado or some sort of damage that would happen to the plant. But by and large, hurricanes are actually they're not a problem at the plant, really. Oh, you're welcome.
Well, again, I appreciate your interest in this topic. And what did we learn today? Their jobs are hard. That's what I've learned. I continue to see just how tricky, some of these processes are and the systems are and the things that they have to do day in and day out. So I don't want to say next time you flush, think of us, but yeah. Think of us because, like he said, I'm so stealing this, but the magic hole, right? It goes away. That's away. These guys right here, this is away. So it does truly go somewhere. So please just keep that in mind. We do our best to maintain and to keep things from breaking and things, but you can help as well by not flushing wipes, not flushing any of those other things, you can do things to help protect our sewer systems as well. So no matter what kind of sewer system you're on. So hopefully you take that away with you today. So I appreciate again your time and attention today. So thank you. We'll see you at the next one.